This is part 2 of access to work or working at height. This is looking more specifically at ladders. So the aims for this part of the session are for you guys to list some checks you'd make on a ladder before you use it. Identify various ladders. There's lots of different types of ladders, and you will need to identify these in your test. And explain how to set up a long ladder for accessing a scaffold. Well, there's lots of different types of ladders. There's step ladders, extension ladders, pole ladders, roof ladders, and what they will call in the test as ceiling ladders, which a lot of us would call probably loft ladders. Okay. A step ladder. We've probably all seen one of these before. This is what a step ladder looks like. If you use a step ladder on a building site, quite often they'll be made out of carbon fibre. Occasionally they'll be made out of wood, occasionally they'll be made out of steel or aluminium. The reason that quite often we'll find carbon fibre steps or step ladders on a building site is because they don't conduct electricity, and as a result you can use power tools on a step ladder with more safety than you would have if, say for example, you used it on a metal ladder. If you used a wooden one, again, wood doesn't conduct electricity, so it'd probably be safer to use whilst drilling than drilling with a corded power tool than a metal ladder. So the sort of checks we'd make on a step ladder would check the treads or the steps, check the braces are in good condition, the spreaders. If you make sure that the spreader arm is fully extended and locked in position before you climb onto it. Again, also need to check the ground condition. Check the rubber feet are in place. It's less likely to slip if you're on there or be unstable. Excuse me. And fully open spreader arm. Check the stiles, which are the bits up the side, for cracks and splinters. The treads or the steps are in good condition. Also check it's clean as well, you know, because obviously if it's got oil on it or if it's got mud on it, then there's a real chance that it becomes slippery and you could slip and fall and injure yourself. So there's a number of things we should consider before we use a ladder. An essential thing to remember with step ladders is that actually we shouldn't climb right the way onto the top of a step ladder. Ideally, the top of the step ladder shouldn't come up, your stomach essentially shouldn't go above the top of the step ladder, because the higher you go, the less stable it becomes. Again, like we talked about in the last video, as you increase the height, if you don't increase the area of the base at the same ratio, then stability is impacted, and the same thing happens as you climb up a step ladder. The higher you get up the step ladder, the higher the centre of gravity and the less stable it becomes. So this is the correct way of using a step ladder. You can see he's got one hand holding on the 2 feet, so 3 points of contact. The top of the step is above his waist. Ladder's in good condition and it's the correct height for the job that he's looking to do. It's placed with the front of the ladder facing towards the job that's to be carried out, so there's no chance of getting pushed over sideways when drilling, and it's on a firm level base, all rubber feet in place, etc, etc. Okay, so ceiling ladder. Quickly look at this. If you're going to get access to a loft, but generally speaking use a ceiling ladder if there's one that's in place. Like I say, most people would call it a loft ladder. That's certainly I would normally. Okay, extension ladder. An extension ladder is a ladder which can be extended. You can see an example of it here, and these things slide over each other and then lock into position. Again, you'd use a wooden ladder or a carbon fibre ladder if you're working with or on your electricity. You shouldn't really use these for working from. If you do, make sure it's for a very, very short period of time. Pole ladders. These are the ladders that I used to see on site probably more often than anything else, and they're used to access the scaffolds. Well, I think a lot of scaffolds these days have got steps on them now because it's a bit safer. But a pole ladder is essentially, it's got like a big pole each side which act as the stiles, and the rungs are placed in between. So before you use any ladder, always check the condition of them. So check there's no damage to the stiles, no damage to the rungs, that they're clean, that they are generally in good condition. Check the rubber feet are in place. Check the grounding conditions again. This is something that is very easily done. If the ground's too soft and you start to climb a ladder, one of the stiles or feet will drop into the earth, and the ladder will then start to lean and potentially fall. Yeah. So, and also with ladders, make sure that it's been set up at the correct angle. The correct angle is 75 degrees, and that's a ratio of 4 meters up to every 1 meter you go out, or a ratio of 4:1. Yeah, make sure it's the correct type of ladder. There's essentially sort of 3 classes of ladder, and you should only really use a class 1 ladder if you're working on a building site. So yeah, don't set up a ladder where it could easily be knocked by somebody opening the door, if it might be struck by a passing vehicle, on soft ground, or within 6 meters of overhead power lines, unless they've been disconnected and you've been guaranteed that they've been disconnected. Obviously don't set up a ladder in high winds or a thunderstorm, because you're going to make yourself put yourself at risk. When you do use a ladder for access, it must extend at least 1 meter beyond the point at which you're looking to access, and it should be secured. Ideally, it should be tied at the top and at the bottom, so there's very little chance of that ladder moving or slipping as you're climbing it to access your point of access. So securing the ladder, so you should tie it wherever possible. So tie it at the top, make a somewhere to secure it at the base as well. And it's, yeah, like I've said, it should be set up at the correct ratio or angle. That means for every 4 meters up you go 1 meter out. So if, for example, you're accessing something that was 6 meters high, then sort of you go up, the ladder's going up 6 meters. So if you follow that ratio, it would go out 1.5 meters, because 6 is half again on top of 4, whereas 1.5 is half again on top of 1. Okay. So if you can't achieve your 1 to 4 rule, then don't use the ladder. It's just get a more appropriate piece of access equipment. Kind of goes without saying, really, don't overstretch. If you overstretch, you're putting yourself at risk of falling. And as we know, falling from height is one of the biggest causes of death and serious injury in the construction industry. Roof ladders. These are roof ladders here. They've normally got wheels on one side, a big hook on the other. You'd sort of push them up the roof, flip it over. The hook goes over the top of the roof, the crown of the roof, and then you can climb up it and access various things, for example, a chimney or something, whatever you might be working on. Okay. You can see here, access to the roof ladder has been done with an extension ladder here. You can see that it's got a ladder stand standoff bracket here, which sort of pushes it out so it's not resting on the gutter. If you do use a roof ladder, make sure the work's carried out by 2 people, and that means 1 person on the roof, 1 person on the ground. So if somebody did fall, then there's somebody there to phone the emergency services. Alrighty, now it's your task. Okay, good luck.